going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. We're back in the saddle. We are back from a cruise that myself and many of our teammates went on last week. This was a personal cruise, so you guys didn't miss out on an event or anything like that. I had quite a few people ask me if Legendary was doing some sort of a legendary cruise, and they missed out on the opportunity to come and join us for that. No, you didn't. We were actually celebrating one of our BPA's 40th birthday. Many of you know Andre Miller, the man, the myth, the legend. He's been here with Legendary since the very beginning. And so we had a awesome 5-day cruise. We went to the Bahamas, we went to Cancun, Mexico, and then landed back in Miami on Saturday. And I'm back in the saddle, back at home, sitting actually at my kitchen table. Kitchen table businesses are some of my favorite businesses in the world. And so you're actually getting me here this morning on my kitchen table here. Give you a little behind the scenes. Got my son's Build-A-Bear teddy bear there, looking out over. Got a lot of sun coming in, but got a beautiful day here in St. Petersburg, Florida, looking out over the water, and excited to have an awesome guest here this morning. As you all know, this show is all about you and interviewing you, your experience here with Legendary, what you've been able to do with these skills. And so with that being said, please help me welcome the guest for today, Mr. Chad Burgers. What's up, brother?
Hey, Dave. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for having me on the show, on the episode.
My friend, it's my pleasure, and I am thrilled and excited to catch up. So tell us, first of all, where you're calling in from.
I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa.
And that's where you're currently at, calling in right now.
Yeah. So that is where I was born. That's where I still am.
Okay. I love it. I love it. I always like to talk to people around the world, and I think it shows just how global this business is and how you can do it from pretty much any country in the world. Now, of course, there are some limitations, but for the most part, they're certainly not in South Africa, because we've had lots of people, come in and take our training from South Africa. So when did you take the challenge? To give us a little bit of a timeline, and was that your first exposure or experience in learning internet marketing skills?
Well, I initially took it in April 2021. So it's been a couple of years right now that I've actually been learning with Legendary. And essentially, it was my first time when it comes to internet marketing or online marketing, digital marketing, whatever the name is or the label is that you want to put on it. I had tried it a couple of years before that, the affiliate marketing side of things, but I didn't fully understand it. So I kind of just fell off by the wayside. And then in April 2021 was when the world fell apart. And I was like, I need to find something to keep things going. And then I came across Legendary. And from there, I joined the challenge. Then it was the 15-day challenge before it was changed to the new, and I would say better challenge now that you currently put together. And yeah, so from there it started with affiliate marketing, digital marketing, got a ton of skills from everything, and just built up to a point now where I'm basically focusing mainly on one-on-one coaching with people. So it's been an interesting 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah, and you were on the show back in November of last year as well. And it sounds like you've gone from zero in trying to grasp the concepts of online marketing to starting. You took the challenge, you said, back in 2021. And from some of you who don't know, we actually teach the 4 ways to sell information online. It's courses, coaching, events, and doing affiliate marketing, selling other people's courses, coaching, and events. So you've actually taken your skill set and elevated and progressed on to incorporating multiple of those core 4 ways to sell information online, doing affiliate marketing, now also doing coaching. So Congratulations to you, man.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's honestly, it's a lot of trial and error. And if I ever speak to someone, every time I have a conversation with him about whether he's starting an online business, any type of business, for me, my personal experience is mainly online. That's what I've been doing the past few years. And I always say to them, like, you know what, you need to be prepared to run a race where you don't know where the finish line is. That's the nature of business, and you also need to be prepared to start over for an indefinite amount of times until something hits and something really works for you. And if you've got that, if you think that that's something you've got it well within you, then you can absolutely, like, you're going to crush it online. You just need that sort of not mindset, but that personal belief that it's going to happen.
What do you I love that you started there. We've sold education to so many people around the world over the last 7 years since Legendary's been in business. The challenge is that we aren't there in somebody's home to help them to overcome the other personal demons, bad habits, and limiting beliefs that they deal with on their own that they had
Mhm.
within them before they came and started our training. Talk to us about what did you need to overcome personally in order to be successful with this? Elaborate on what you just said, but also what do you think is holding people back? What do they need to overcome, address? You had elaborated or alluded to it a moment ago. Can you elaborate that on that a little bit more? Because people have taken tons of trainings. They've done and tried lots of stuff. They're still struggling. What are you seeing, man? What is the game changer that people need to understand?
I mean, I'm so happy you asked that question because I always used to think that it was just a me problem. Where I was like, I invested in a course or a program and spent all this money, invested the time into doing things, and things still weren't working. I was doing everything, following the instructions. I'm really analytical by nature. So everything for me is a step by step thing. So I would buy these programs, and I would still find myself struggling or find myself trying to get momentum, right? And what I found, and this was actually about 6 months ago that I actually made this realization that it's not an issue about having or acquiring knowledge. That's not the main part. The biggest part is your mindset. And when I say mindset, a lot of people, I guess, would just assume that it's just something you think. If you think mind, it's just up here, right? But for me, mindset is a true belief in yourself as well. So, for example, something that I've had to overcome growing up throughout my, and a large part of my adult life as well, was having a low self confidence. I always felt invisible. I felt that my opinions, my ideas didn't matter. I always found people speaking over me, walking over me, that type of thing. So I felt really small. And it was through a lot of life experience and investment in myself to get the tools to actually be able to fully understand that a mindset thing is not just what's up here, right? It's also what's in here. So you need to fully believe in what you're working for. You need to have your why. I know that's a big thing with Legendary as well. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing it? So you need to really dial that in because, like I said, it's not about the information that you're getting. You can have all the information in the world, and I'm proof of it that you can have all that information, all that knowledge, but still not get anywhere if you don't have a belief system that is solidified within yourself and that matches the goal that you're trying to reach as well. Because if your belief system's up here, but your mind system, your belief system's down here, but your goal is up here, it's going to be a long, hard road to actually, to get to that goal. So it's really a matter of cutting out all the noise. In a nutshell, there are ways to do it, but in a nutshell, what you're doing is cutting out all the noise, fear of judgment, fear of failure, what other people may say, uh, any type of voice in your head that gets in the way of you getting there. You need to cut it out because if you look at yourself, if you kind of fast forward your life to 40 years, 50 years down the line, and you look back on today, and you can honestly, if you ask yourself, am I happy with the choices that I made? Do I regret not doing something because of the fear of judgment or the fear of failing, then why make that decision now? If you already know you're going to regret it in the future. So that's a good way, I guess, a starting point of looking at it. If you kind of hesitant to do something, then fast forward your life a couple of decades down the line and ask yourself at that point, looking back on your current you, was that a good choice? Like, did all the opinions from everybody else matter? Did all that fear of getting out onto the internet, putting out videos, did all of that matter? And that, I guess, that for me, that answers the question.
That's a great response. I wanna tease that apart a little bit and try to deconstruct that, because you touched on some important points. You touched on confidence. You touched on understanding or tapping into your why. You talked about belief systems, and you talked about tuning out noise.
Mhm.
So let's talk about your why. Did you discover that you had a new why, or did you finally discover more clearly what your why was this year?
I think that's a really good question. I think it's sort of like a two-parter, because for me, initially when I started back in 2021, the why was I need to make money, right? We were over 200K in debt, bills, we were falling behind on our bills, our monthly, like our home, our cars, those types of things. And for me, my why was I have to make money. And people had told me that money is not a good enough why, like your income. And I was like, yeah, whatever, let me make money and I'll be I'll make the deciding factor on that. And we got to a point, my wife and I, where we got out of debt, we got everything back online, like things are going amazingly well right now. And the day that we actually paid our debt off, we managed to pay it off in a lump sum, which was amazing. I was super proud of us for doing that. But the excitement in that literally lasted for no longer than, I would say, 8 hours. I was like, I'm gonna be so excited for all this money, and after the debt was paid, I was like, kind of, now what? And that's when I realized that the why needs to be bigger than something just like money. Like, the money is gonna get you the stuff that you want, but your why is something that you are intrinsically connected to, whether it is your family. For me, it was my family. At that point, I was like, you know what? I need to make a life for my family that they never had. I know there were a lot of sacrifices that, for example, my parents made for me, and I would love to repay them back. And the same thing for my wife's family as well. So that was the first part. And then the second part of the why was also overcoming, proving that for me, all of my personal, and so I'll call it struggles, but that what I just spoke about, feeling so small, I was like, I need to prove to myself that even though I come from that, there's no limit if I build like a solid belief system or a good mindset to get me to where I want to be. So my why is sort of in two parts, if that makes sense.
So you needed to prove to yourself that your struggles did not define who you were?
Absolutely. The external struggles
Or did not define your potential?
Yeah, it did not at all. I had to make the decision that it did not or does not dictate my life's future trajectory.
So I like that. You need to prove to yourself that your past struggles don't dictate your future success.
Yeah, your future trajectory.
I think that's a great segue into limiting beliefs. Is that a great example to you of what a limiting belief is?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? It's so strange how we have different beliefs, right? And beliefs are things that we've grown up, like, you aren't born with beliefs. It's from environment, it's from what people have been telling you, it's from your personal experiences. These are the things that develop your beliefs. but we also don't realize how many beliefs we actually have. We generally we think like, I believe I could be successful. Firstly, if you're saying it like that, you don't believe it. That's the one thing I want to kind of get clear. But it's sort of the belief system or the limiting beliefs that we have. We need to be very conscious over the thoughts that we allow into our minds, right? And I think that is a great starting point. Just being conscious about it. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. Catch yourself day to day being like, you know what? I thought something, let's say negative or destructive, whatever it is. Catch yourself, and you have the power within you to literally change at that point. Life is a combination of small choices. So we are where we are today. Everybody is joined into this episode because of a series of choices they've made that has brought them to this point. Same with you, same with me. So we need to catch ourselves consistently so that we start developing a habit of where our minds or our brains are just like, it automatically almost just blocks out that noise, or it catches it and discards whatever the negativity is on autopilot. At the beginning, it is going to take some conscious work. It's like you need to catch yourself all the time, but that's like everything, right?
So this is you're explaining now how to tune out noise from your perspective. The noise is the noise, in your opinion, that holds most of us back. Does that come from external noise, or is that internal noise?
Well, I can speak from my experience that it starts with external, right? And if you remember a moment ago, I said that our beliefs are things that we have. It's things that have been ingrained into us and into our heads. So it starts with external, but eventually we get to a point where we allow the external stuff to control what's going on in here. And you can't do that. Like you need to put yourself in the pilot seat.
Can I ask you a question? Did you begin to, as you were realizing that you had these limiting beliefs that were popping up in your head, and you became self-aware of them? And I think that's the first step. That's what I hear you saying loud and clear.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen unless you become self-aware of these voices. Did you then become curious? Where did these voices come from? And begin to track them back to your childhood? Has that been part of your process this year?
I have tried, yes. Absolutely. I spent a lot of time thinking about that because those are the things, like I keep saying, our beliefs mold our lives. So it deserves time, where I'm sitting with myself trying to think about where did this actually come from. And I was surprised when I found that after a little while, it may not come like after the first time I sat, I sit for like 15 minutes and try to figure out where this came from. It didn't come the first time, I'll be 100% honest, but the way I picture it happening is that I placed an order in my brain and I was like, you got to find this information for me. And then just as life went on, I was possibly, like driving one day and I was like, oh man, this happened in high school, or this happened in primary school. I was like, that is what came to this belief. And at the same time, when you're thinking of all of those things, you also need to put yourself in a state where you're not going to be feeling sorry for yourself and like, yeah, life is pretty hard. I've been going through this stuff from the age of 6. Man, this is what's been written for me. This is my destiny. If it's been happening, so you need to catch yourself immediately and be like, that's not the purpose of this exercise. The purpose of this is to find the root of it. Be like, yeah, it is what it is. That's what happened. Where am I now? And you move forward. You grow, right?
I hear a lot of similarities in my process over the past 15 years in recovery and therapy. And what your testimonial goes to show is that there's not one way to skin a cat, that you can find root causes or at least become aware of them, whether you get to that conclusion by going to therapy, whether you get to that conclusion by working with a coach, whether you get to that conclusion by simply becoming aware of it and setting the intention, which is what I hear you saying. You became aware of it. You set the intention that I want to allow my subconscious to marinate on this and
Mhm.
be open to learning over the coming days, months, years, where did this come from? And once you planted that seed within your subconscious mind, as you are now living your life, different scenarios helped you to become more clear about the the trail of where that limiting belief may have started, whether it was in your childhood or whether it was something that happened in high school. Just simply planting the seed, starting with self-awareness and then setting the intention that I want to learn more about myself and why I do this.
Mhm.
Why is this happening within me? You became curious and you planted that seed, and your subconscious mind took over and allowed you, the universe, God, however you want to frame it, put those learning teachable moments in front of you once you became aware of it and set that intention for you to then learn more about yourself on a deeper level,
Mhm.
which has brought a new awareness. And in turn, correct me if I'm wrong, because I now want to hear about, how has that translated into a newfound confidence for you?
Well, just before I go on to that, Dave, I just want to add to what I said, if you don't mind, that when you do go back and you find those moments in your history, right, that's affected where you are right now, how you're feeling, how you feel about yourself, it's also important not just to find those moments and to hold a grudge. It's also if someone in particular, whether it's like an ex-husband, ex-wife, a teacher, a bully from school, it's a big part of that growth is also forgiveness, right? Because you're not going to be able to move forward if you're going to be holding a grudge from 5, 10 years, 20 years ago. So a big part of that is also sometimes it's hard. I know for a fact sometimes it's so hard because some people really hurt some people. So you just need to honestly do what you can to find it in your heart, to when you find those moments, to actually genuinely from the bottom of your heart be like, I forgive you, I'm willing to move forward.
I I understand why you circled back on that, Chad, and it goes back to your comment a few minutes ago about being a victor and not a victim. And as you begin to do this deeper interpersonal work, which when we call it work, but really it's not really work, it's just becoming aware of something and then setting the intention that I want to learn more about this so I can understand myself better and understand why I start things and don't follow through with them. Why I doubt myself as I get 3 steps into a new business or opportunity or try or making a pivot in my career. Or why do I lack confidence in a relationship or in dating or in business or whatever the case may be. And as you begin to do that work, that learning, as we just explained, those awarenesses about things that happen in your childhood or earlier life may bring up, hey, I was victimized in this situation, or I wasn't given appropriate parenting or guidance, or I was given a short end of the stick in this family situation, or somebody didn't look out for me or protect me in my teenage years, whatever that may bring up, which could very easily cause you to go into a negative grudge, resentment mode and sit in self pity. And you must resist that urge, is what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely. Sorry, I just kicked my leg. Yeah, so it's really just a matter of those three simple words, letting it go, forgive, and just and move on. You're just going to be you're going to keep yourself stuck in the mud. I remember a saying. I don't know for sure if Nelson Mandela said it, but he said holding a grudge is like poisoning your poisoning yourself. Yeah, and hoping that it affects the other person, right?
Mm.
So I don't know exactly where that came from, but it's always something that's kind of replayed in my mind when it comes to that phase or that stage.
I've heard it phrased as a resentment is like eating poison expecting somebody else to die. Is that similar to
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying
pretty
here?
much. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so powerful how you've tied this whole piece into also ensuring that as you learn about yourself, that you don't go into a toxic grudge. I think for me in my own personal healing and personal growth journey, as I've learned about myself and things that happened that were either that caused some of these deficiency or defects or limiting beliefs inside of me, I
Mhm.
do realize that some of them were other people's faults, as you're describing. And I too have had that temptation to really sit in that anger. For me, one of the things that's been incredibly helpful is to feel the anger, but don't stay there.
Yeah, own it. Own it. That's really what it is, right? I mean, you bigger than any moment in history or any given time in your past or present life. And you've got the choice at any given time to take your life in a million different directions. Every single choice you make takes your life this way, that way. Like it's you honestly cannot fathom how each little choice that you make, even the choices you make about what you think about, will change the direction of your life. And that's why I said earlier, you need to be so conscious over what you think all the time. At the beginning, it's going to seem like now I
Mhm.
need to watch all my thoughts, but it'll get better. I promise. If you start doing that, I can guarantee you it becomes a thing where it's almost on autopilot, like 90% of the time.
I think one of the things we drastically underestimate when we start this entrepreneurial journey is how much we are our own worst enemy.
Mhm.
Either by, and there's all kinds of traps and landmines along the way, even as you're so beautifully and powerfully pointing out to us this morning. If I do the inner work of becoming curious and trying to investigate, why am I like I am? Why do I
Mhm.
start things and not follow through? Why do I lack confidence? There is going to be, in that investigation, in that self awareness process, there's going to be some triggering things that come up that are going to trigger feelings of anger, feelings of depression. Holy shit. I could even go into catastrophic thinking and say, my whole childhood was screwed. I got screwed. And I could really struggle with some of those big feelings. And that
Mhm.
helps us to understand a little bit more why we medicate and avoid thinking about those things with alcohol, with drugs, with sex, with porn, with starting new businesses, right? I mean, shopping, gambling, I mean, name the vice. They're
Yeah.
all out there if you want them. Fast food, sometimes we eat our feelings. I mean, there's just so many different coping mechanisms. They're everywhere. That is part of a capitalistic marketplace, is that everything you could possibly want is for sale, and most of it is not good for you. And so it takes this unique discipline to, in desire to grow, to first of all start asking these tough questions that you've brought to our awareness this morning, and then also to heal these parts of us, be gentle with ourselves through this process, and not stay in one space too long, dwelling on the negativity and
Yeah.
on what didn't happen or what happened to us, and to gain the perspective that, ooh, wow, maybe that actually happened for me
Mhm.
instead of to me.
Exactly. Life happens for you, not to you, right? Once you change that perspective, like how you see everything will change. How you see relationships will change. How you see experiences will change. That is, I'm so happy you said that because I say that all the time. Life is
Yeah.
happening for me, not to me.
So I'm starting to understand a little bit the kind of the last and final point. This has been such a powerful conversation. And ironically, it has nothing to do with marketing, but it has everything to do with you being successful in your business. I
Mhm.
want to touch on the all important outcome that we all want, which is confidence. I want to
Yep.
have the confidence to be able to film the video, to hit post and not care what people think. I want to have the confidence to be able to sell a coaching program. I want to have the confidence to be able to deliver it. I want to have the confidence to be able to come on an interview and share my truth. I want to have the confidence to be able to walk through life unapologetically and be myself and not all the things that you described earlier. Feel small, feel insecure, feel like my voice doesn't matter, feel like I don't matter. So help us bring this conversation together for us and help us understand how these various pieces for you equated into the confidence that you've always needed, that you've begun to find this year.
So, I mean, for me, my journey was very different, and it's difficult for me to be like, to say, this is what you need to do, because as you mentioned earlier, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? But what I can do is share an exercise that I do whenever, because sometimes I still feel it's an ongoing thing. And I've also accepted that this journey of my own self-confidence, my own inner self-belief is an ongoing journey. So what I can do is share a simple exercise that helps me, right? And for the everyone who is joining, if anyone is kind of going through the same thing and has the same thoughts about self-confidence, try it. It might be something that really turns things around for you. Would that be a little bit better, sharing like a little bit of an exercise?
Please.
Yeah. All right. So basically, when I find, like I mentioned, the first thing is catching yourself. All right. In those states, I'm going to call it. So, for example, if I need to get in front of on the score right now, and I'm like, I am terrified, I'm going to stutter, I'm going to and throughout the entire thing. First thing is to be aware of it. The second thing that I do is I need to change my physical state, because I've learned that changing your physiology changes everything within your body. Like, it changes your thought patterns, it changes your heart rate, it changes the way you function internally. So put on a song. Like for me, I was literally just playing Thunderstruck, AC/DC before I hopped onto the other call. Anything that you feel that is going to lift up your physical self, and you can dance, you can jump around, wave your arms, do whatever, clap your hands. All you're doing right now at this first step is changing your physiology, okay? Because you'll notice immediately you'll have that change in your mind where you're like, okay, things are not as bad. I was kind of making it seem worse than it was. So that's the first thing. Then it comes to, you want to get that state, and then you want to maintain that state. So what you do, or what I do to maintain that state, is I'll just take like a minute, no more than 90 seconds. I'll sit up straight in the chair. If I'm standing, I'll stand up. And I'll kind of feel that if I put my shoulders back and I lift my chest up, you feel like you're in good posture. You feel like you're in more control, right? And this is all physiology. It's not rocket science. It really does make a difference. When you're in that more of a controlled physical state, even your posture, then I would think of a time when I would close my eyes and I'd remember a time when I did something and I felt really successful. And it could be anything. I'm not saying it's about making money or making a sale. It could be that for myself, it's when I was on stage for my first magic show that I put together. I perform magic as well, by the way. So I was on stage and I was like, people stood up and they gave me a standing ovation. I was like, I felt so incredible. But when I thought back into that, or when I think back into that moment, I'm very conscious over how do I feel? How's my body when I'm standing there? Are my hands up? Are my hands down? Are my shoulders back? How's my breathing? And I emulate what I felt back then, because all you're doing is reminding your body like, hey, this feeling of control is actually possible. You've done it before, So that is what I do. And then moving forward from there, I just give myself like 3 major affirmations in the moment in time. I'm like, yeah, I've got this. I'm on fire. I can handle this. Whatever the 3 is, whatever comes to mind. But you really say it and you feel it. If you just say, I got this, I whatever, you're going to crumble everything, right? Feel it, like really feel it internally. It shouldn't be a problem, because you've already built up and you've sort of like prefaced everything leading up to those affirmations. You've got yourself into a good physical state. You remembered back to a point where you were successful, any given moment in time in your past. And so you've built all of that up. So saying these affirmations with conviction should actually come easy at that point. And from there, boom, you go ahead, you do it. You give yourself a 5-second countdown, and you keep moving forward.
I love that. And as a magician,
Mhm.
in in another part of your work, you understand the power of the mind. You understand from how you can trick the mind, how you can, create illusions, and people are, their whole entire state changes from seeing something right
Yep.
before their eyes that they may even know is magic, right? I mean,
Yes, yeah, like no, but that shows how powerful our mind is, right? Even though we
yeah,
know it's not real, our brains will still be like, it's the it's like the wires get crossed. So it shows like that. Speaking about magicians, it shows that the greatest magician of all is the one that's up here. It's gonna fool you into thinking whatever it wants unless you control it.
we can trick our minds for good or bad.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Our minds, I think we underestimate how malleable they are, how much
Hmm.
we can mold them, how much we can influence them. And that exercise that you just gave is such a simple but powerful example and method of how nothing around you is changing. The situation may not change. That could
Hmm.
be used in the middle of war. That could be used in the middle of divorce, of destruction, of everything is crumbling around you in real life, or it just feels like that. And you can find peace, empowerment, security, confidence, no matter what's going on around you. And ironically, the majority of us in this situation, when we're trying to build a business, the war is up here.
Hmm.
Everything is okay in real life,
Yeah.
thankfully, right? The war is all up here. And so you need to come to the table every day with some weapons. You need to not show up to a fight where you are literally fighting for your financial future. You're fighting to pay off debt. I mean, you gave a great example. $200,000 in debt. Thank you for sharing that. That gives us a powerful understanding of where you've where you've come from. You can't show up with no tools, people. You can't show up to a war of entrepreneurship, a war of insecurity, a war of childhood traumas or disappointments that have turned into limiting beliefs in your adulthood. You can't show up with no guns, no weapons, no tools. You got to come every day with a bulletproof vest. I need to bulletproof my brain from these limiting beliefs. I need to have a gun that I can shoot down these out, whether they be external or internal voices. And ironically, those weapons, you just gave us one. That
Yeah.
method, that process of simply sitting down, getting, using your body. Emotions follow motion. And so yeah, if I'm hunched over, a lot of times when we're in lack, in limitation, and insecurity, our body posture, our physiology it models those internal feelings. So we're
Exactly.
not up. Sometimes I need to stand up too. I need to
Mhm.
get up. I need to, I did this exercise where we were grounding. This was at a men's weekend that I was at last weekend, where we were standing up. It was a guided meditation. We were standing up. We were grounding and rooting our feet into the ground. Our chest came back, and almost identical to the process you just went through for us. And then, yes, I love the anchoring of closing your eyes and thinking about you have to, you have to, you have to meet and match that powerful limiting belief with an equally powerful, empowering belief and thought that can win. You have to dominate that. And so you gave us an example of one of the most powerful moments that you can still pull from. And
Mhm.
then those affirmations. Wow, how corny do so many people think that is? I'm not going to tell myself that I can do hard things. I'm not, well, you know what? Then your brain will likely continue to tell you the things that are holding you back because
Mhm.
that's your brain's job is to have 6,000 thoughts a day that you have no control over. And
Yeah.
until you take control over a different message and you begin to punch in the things that are being rehearsed and recorded and said to you on a daily basis, your brain is going to spit out whatever software is inside of your head, no matter how many bugs are in it. And that's another tool. I mean, unbelievably powerful episode this morning, brother. Um, I don't know that there's anything left to cover. I mean, this has been a blueprint for confidence this morning and a wonderful way to start our Monday. And we've talked nothing about marketing and everything about
So,
success.
yeah, but
So,
I'm grateful for uh, for this chance to share this with everyone. For me, I've been through the struggle, and right now I'm at a point where I really just wanna. My why is to help. One of my whys is to help as many people to impact as many people as possible through the things that I've learned through my experiences. Uh, and through things that I've learned by investing different skills and techniques and things that I've learned to grow this self confidence and this issue that I've been having. So I'm super grateful to be on here, and I really hope that someone who is watching this was impacted by it. Like if there's just one person, then I'm so happy. I'm I'm so grateful for that. So thank
well,
you for giving me the chance to share it, Dave.
you're so welcome. I'm impacted first and foremost. And I know the beautiful thing about sharing our knowledge and experience in the way that you did today and the way that I have, and I have made it a practice, is that you, as the person sharing, also gets to hear yourself say these powerful things.
Yeah.
So I believe every single person got something out of it. But one of the secrets to changing your brain is the mindset that I'm going to share this because I also get benefit from hearing myself say this, right? I'm getting benefit from it, and I can see that in you that as you have begun to share this information, this knowledge in the powerful way, in the humble way, but the direct and clear way that you do, that you've developed over time, it's been just yet another tool that you bring to business war every day that helps you to rewire your brain for success. And so, um, thanks for that. Thanks for being a great example of how the student can become the teacher and use your experience, strength, your hope to both inspire yourself but also others. And this was your second time on the show. I look forward to your third, brother. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Dave. Could I just say one more thing before we go
Please.
off? The one thing that I want to say is that if you do these exercises, right, the one that I shared earlier, it's going to it's going to feel ridiculous at first, okay? But it's fine. Like, just work through them, just keep doing it. Repetition is the key to success. And you also, a thing that I constantly remind myself when I'm feeling awkward or uncomfortable trying something new is that at that moment in time, I'm willing to do something that everyone else is not willing to do. And that's what separates followers from leaders. So just something to keep in mind, because I know how awkward it is for some people when they start doing these exercises. So just run that through your mind. Be like, well, right now I'm doing what everyone else won't. And that's why I'm going to be the one that makes a difference.
I love it. Hey, nothing more to say this morning, my brother. Have a great day or a great evening and stay legendary, my friend. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, my friends. What a powerful episode. Worth a re-listen for sure. If you're struggling with confidence, if you're struggling with doubt, if you're wondering where these limiting beliefs have come from in your life and you can't seem to overcome them, you've become addicted to struggle, you have a tendency to even blame people, places, and things, but somewhere deep down inside, you know you are the one that's holding you back, which is really the truth. We all are our own worst enemy. This episode can help you to get back on track and start in the right direction or start over. And with that being said, my friends, we'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Okay. If you want to subscribe to our notification list, as I've put up here just before I move on to that, Chad, you can find and follow him on Instagram at purely remote underscore, purely remote underscore. You can also find me over on Instagram at David Sharpe underscore official. Okay. So those are how you can follow each of us out on social media. Chad is also on TikTok at purely remote. I am at David Sharpe underscore official. And we also both have YouTube channels. He's at purely remote on YouTube. I am at David Sharpe live on YouTube. Now, back to how to get a text message, or better yet, a Facebook Messenger reminder in the morning when we go live. You can go to legendarymarketer.com/WUL, legendarymarketer.com/WUL. That stands for Wake Up Legendary. I'm also putting that into the chat right now. You can subscribe to that list and you can get a text or a Facebook Messenger reminder in the morning when we go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm putting that in the chat right now. But if you're listening, you can also go to legendarymarketer.com/WUL, WUL for Wake Up Legendary, and subscribe to that notification list. It'll take you right into that Facebook chat bot that will send you a little non-spammy, non-invasive message at 10 a.m. Eastern time in the morning when we go live for you to tune in. With that being said, my friends, you know the rest, what to do. If you want to get started with our training, take the challenge, start your entrepreneurial journey, learn the skills to start a business online, selling courses, coaching events, or doing affiliate marketing, starting, selling somebody else's. You can take our 5-day learn, launch, lead challenge at legendarymarketer.com/enroll. You can see our 3 main offerings there. We have our challenge, we have our business blueprints, which is our flagship program to learn all core 4 business models at a deeper level. And then we also have a mastermind that you can attend, and we'd love to have you. We do recommend that you take our other training before you come to a mastermind so you have that core foundational knowledge. With that being said, my friends, we'll see you back here tomorrow, as always, for another episode of Wake Up Legendary. Get out of here. Have a great day. Peace, my friends.